Hey everyone, welcome back to the All Music Matters on That podcast. I'm your host, Brian. And today, I actually welcome back a special guest back there at the Las Vegas region. It's Jason, this time Ryan Solo from the band State of War. How you been, brother?
Been pretty good, man. How about you?
Not too bad. And actually, you know what, I recently hurt my back. I'm just straightening it a little bit because of last night there too. So now I feel like an old man, just trying to have the whole back brace and everything just kind of help me out here too, just to get back to how it was initially. So I've
I
been
feel you
better.
on that one.
So yeah. But I guess how you been recently? What's new? Because I guess we've been messaging back and forth, so it seemed like there was a little bit of drama going on between just you and Larry. I know you don't want to go too crazy about it, but just real quick for the audience, I guess. Is everything okay?
He's going through some personal stuff right now. I had some stuff I had to deal with. Um, we're just kind of playing it by ear for now. But as of right now, I'm doing everything solo.
All right. Let's leave it at that there too. So won't pry into too much details there, but
Yeah.
I guess outside of that, because you actually sent me, I guess, some sneak peeks of some new material you got in the works. I guess how's State
Yes,
of War
sir.
been recently?
What's that?
How's State of War been recently?
Getting back in traction, I guess you could say. Uh, I had to take about a month off, and I'm just now getting back into writing and arranging and getting everything ready to go. Um, Three on the books right now in the works. I'm going to do a 5 song EP. So, but I'm not going to put a date on it until they're actually finished to my liking.
It shall be my creation in this case. So yeah, or almost like a Frankenstein sort of scenario, if we want to
Yeah,
think about it that way.
exactly.
So yeah, all right. I guess what was the influence behind some of the sneak peeks you sent over to me? I guess was there always the nice little deicide, because I know we talked about that a good bit last time we chatted.
Right. Well, this is what I was talking about before when I said I had a lot of different influences. So, and one of the things that I wanted to set out to do, and Larry and I both wanted to set out to do, is create a record that you actually want to listen to all the way through. And it's nice to kind of shake things up a little bit. So, yeah, first song that you heard was a lot of Deicide reference. Um, the newest one is more Arch Enemy influenced. And then I have another one, the second one I showed you, is it has a lot of Meshuggah and Sabbath influence.
R.I.P. to Ozzy Osbourne.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah, that's all. After that, you had Hulk Hogan, who had tragically passed away there too. So it's almost like losing so many icons at once now. It's just the rapture, the biblical rapture that we're talking about now since COVID. So
Yeah. Well, R.I.P. Thunderlips, man. He will
yeah,
be missed.
that's for sure. Uh, I guess just real quick, I guess did you ever see Ozzy Osbourne live when he was either with Sabbath or in his solo project?
I did not. I had a chance to see them on the 13 tour, but my stupid my stupid ass didn't pick up the phone in time and missed out on tickets. My father actually worked the sound for that when they were here, and I had the opportunity to get in, but I was too late.
Oh, you missed the VIP.
I did.
Oh, all right, it is what it is. So, but I guess was it your dad that kind of got you into the Black Sabbath and then Ozzy?
No, that's actually a long story. So I told you originally that I started with rap, NWA, stuff like that. I like the darker beats, and that's what got me into metal. Metal started with Sepultura, mostly the Roadrunner catalog, and one of the albums that they released was Nativity in Black, the Sabbath tribute, and that's kind of what started it. And I got to give credit where credit's due. Typo's version of Black Sabbath was pretty much what did it. From there, I went to We Sold Our Souls for rock and roll, and it was nothing but Sabbath for like the next 2 years. So they were a huge influence on everything I'm doing, and you're going to hear notes of it all the time throughout.
I think it's funny how the radio now covers all the songs that they probably never covered before. I know one like the other day was like Megalomania, I guess from their
Yeah.
Sabotage album. I was like, what was this? I never heard about this. And it was a long song, but it was like, this is badass. Why didn't they never give this some airplay?
Well, one song on that album that confused me as to why it didn't get more popularity was the writ. I mean, the 12-string work on that, the guitar work is awesome. It's just a good song altogether, and it's a good story too. It's about their manager that was ripping them off.
Of course. So, unless we're saying is this quote unquote the manager, because I think they gave credit to their drug dealer at one point. So I
Yeah.
wasn't sure if they.
No, the story I'd heard eventually it came out was about their manager. That's one rumor.
I think, oh yeah, it was Sentiment of the Universe that was the one that was the big hit from that one. At least I'm assuming
Yes,
it
well,
is.
it was one. Yeah,
So,
which was later covered by Sepultura, which is what got me into them.
actually, you know what's funny? I literally had a dream last night about seeing a concert. It had Ozzy Osbourne, but it also had Lemmy that came on at one point. So, and then I think it was just me and my dad. We were just like working our way along the right side, getting close to the VIP section. I mean, I think we were like right along the side at one point. So it was almost like, this feels like heaven, though, to say the least. So it was weird, but man, it felt pretty surreal. I'll tell you that much.
Oh, I
So,
bet.
all right. But I guess which one would you say is like your favorite Black Sabbath album? And then which one do you think is your favorite Ozzy album?
That's a tough one. I was definitely more into Sabbath than I was Ozzy's catalog. So the first one's obviously my favorite. Um, Black Sabbath, Master of Reality, Sabotage, and well, of course, Paranoid.
I would say, yeah, I think Paranoid was the one that put them on the markets and got
Yeah,
them spread globally. So
for sure. And you had a Technical Ecstasy, which I didn't really care for. It didn't sound like them. So
I'd
maybe
say,
it's early albums.
yeah. Actually, I thought songs like Caravan or Master of Reality had like the song Orchard, and I think it was Solitude. That seemed like it was what I call filler songs.
Yeah,
They just threw songs in there just for the hell of it, just so that they have like 8 songs in that case. So I
yeah,
think I think my dad, he was always into Masters of Reality. I think it was more so because of Children of the Grave.
right.
So, but actually, no, he really loved Into the Void. So
Yeah, that's a good one too.
that is a good one. In fact, I'll go ahead and spoil this much. That's a song I'm going to be playing in honor of Ozzy on the Black Sabbath side. I will do Into the Void later this year, though. I already got October and November already planned out and everything. So it would have to be near the end of the year. So, but
Excellent.
I think No More Tears for the Ozzy side, just so that to honor his memory.
Well, here's my thing on Ozzy. Okay, albums, songs, definitely. Crazy Train, No More Tears, Mama, I'm Coming Home. My Jekyll Doesn't Hide. Like there are songs that start like Perry Mason. I mean, you have the ones that stick out, and then there's just what doesn't. So I can't really say I have a favorite Ozzy album. It's just certain songs from his catalog that are amazing.
I was like, say what you will. Those first 2 with Randy Rhoads, those were the days right there. So,
Yeah.
but it was Diary of a Madman and then Blizzard of Oz. That's what
Yep.
you're thinking of. So, yeah. All right. So, rest in peace, Ozzy. We'll see you on the other side at some point.
Indeed.
But I guess, did you ever get into WWE? I know I changed the subject with Hulk Hogan in this case. I don't know if you ever got into wrestling.
When I was a kid, WWF was the big thing. That's when everybody was with WWF. Andre the Giant, Hulk Hogan. I didn't really pay much attention to it. It was just there. So I didn't really study it or anything or pay attention to any of the ongoing dramas that they keep going like a soap opera and none of that crap.
Yeah, you get the behind the scenes where they're just throwing people through the windows next.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
I mean, I respect it for the acrobatics because I know that takes some skill right there too. But it's almost like, really, I see guys in cage fights. Now that's legit fighting right there, where they're bleeding, man.
Exactly.
You got the
No,
Conor
it's like-
McGregor, he'd knock it out. So yeah,
Yeah. Well, it's for the fans. It's just a show. Take it for what it is. It's entertainment. People love it.
I guess there were some pretty bad drama moments where I don't know if it was like one of those cage fights. I don't know if some people actually legitimately got hurt. That's their deal. So someone's like,
Yeah.
"Jeez, we're kind of going a little overboard here." So I digress. Actually, the one I always remember was called Wrestling Society X. They actually used to have it on demand back when I used to have Comcast, and it was all the same lines. But actually, they did have heavy metal bands that would come in there too. So it was kind of a little bit more of an expansion of the heavy metal catalog that I sort of got into. Maybe I wasn't totally invested into it, but at least it had it there. So
Now, I don't know if this spread to other parts of the United States, but in Vegas, a big thing was backyard wrestling. And that was actually kind of fun to watch. But the early State of War days, we played backyard wrestling. And it was fun to watch. You had guys hitting each other with fluorescent lights, the standard chair. And yeah, it was fake. It was all written out, scripted, dramatized, but it was still cool to watch.
it's funny you mention that because there was a South Park episode where all the kids initially they joined the wrestling team where they're doing the legit school wrestling in that
Right.
case. But apparently they think it's gay porn to say the least. So unfortunately, or at least that's what one of the guys said. He's like, "Mister, take your gay porn somewhere else." So But-
Yeah, no, I'm a huge South Park fan.
I think you might know. I think you might know about it too. But eventually, the kids go off. They form their own, let's just say WWE for lack of a better term.
Yes.
And then it's like, listen, there's this girl that had 5 abortions, that sort of thing there too, and behind on her bills. So, I don't know what's real, what's not. So
And they made the whole thing about that's not real wrestling, but what they considered wrestling was actually acting. So it's like, I'm a better wrestler than you. No, you're just a better actor than I am, because they were following the whole script and all that crap. Yeah, I know. I remember that episode. It was great.
at the end, they all legitimately start fighting all this stuff. Be like, oh man, that's
Yeah.
so fake. Actually, speaking of South Park, did you watch the recent one they did? The kind of teared into
I
Trump
did.
and all that.
I did, and I'm sure everybody thinks like I am that that's Saddam Hussein, not Trump.
Reincarnated in this case.
Exactly.
I saw it too. I think, oh crap, they went back to the Saddam Hussein days. So
That's what it looks like, because you have, the scene where Garrison's just chilling at home and everybody rushes into his house. And they're like, what the hell are you doing? Huh? Well, if it's not you, then who's in there? And then, of course, you get the, hey, guy. Hey, buddy.
oh god, they turned him into a Canadian. So
Well, if you remember the beginning of the second season, the very famous cliffhanger that pissed everybody off, where it was supposed to be, they find out who Eric's mom is, and then they release, the little Canadian short or Canadian episode, and Saddam Hussein is the guy who takes over Canada. So he always kind of had that, hey guy, hey, relax.
actually, you know what? I was thinking more of like Carbon's dad, which I think was also
It
controversial.
was his
episodes.
mom.
This time it was his mom. Okay.
Yeah.
So, oh yeah, that's right. The dad one came later because I think at that point they kind of realized that he was related to Scott Tenorman, and then unfortunately he had killed his dad and turned him into
Right.
chili. So
Right. Another one of my favorites.
yeah, so gotta respect those guys. I mean, they stuck to their guns, and then man, they're not afraid. So I'll tell you that much.
Oh, Matt and Trey, yeah. I've followed everything they've done. I don't know if you've ever seen the Book of Mormon, but that was awesome. That was worth it.
I was thinking more of the South Park version there too, where it's the whole dum 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 dum.
Oh, yes. Joseph Smith, he was a prophet. Dum 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 dum. And
I don't know if it was part of it too, or from the Book of Mormon, but yeah.
Lucy Harris, dum dum. Wait, no, Martin Harris, dum dum dum. Lucy Harris. Wait, no, Lucy Harris, smart, smart, smart. Martin Harris, dum dum dum. When he's talking about reading the plates from the hat, and she's like, how do you know he's not just making it up? And no, the two are not related. Book of Mormon is about missionaries who go to Africa and try to recruit, and it just goes bad from there.
Of course, it is Africa after all. So or depending on what part of Africa you go to. So
Yeah, it, I would at least listen to the soundtrack, and that'll kind of give you an idea of what it's about. But
I was this is
it's
like
really
a
good.
I was gonna say this isn't a Hotel Rwanda sort of situation, was it?
No,
Okay.
no,
All right.
nothing like that.
Yeah, it's funny. I think the first time I actually saw that South Park episode, I was trying to make sure, like, was it more of the DUM, like dumb, 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 that sort of deal? But yeah, I think it was, they kept throwing the B at the end right there, too. So,
Yeah,
okay, makes sense. It would be them. So, yeah.
yeah, yeah. No, that was a great episode. All about Mormons.
I mean, hey, the lesson learned there was Mormons can be chill. I mean, yeah, they can admit their issues, but they're super chill. That's their deal. Don't be get mad at them. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So, that's out to Trey and Matt and all those boys
Definitely.
there, too. So, all right.
Yeah.
So I guess again back in the state of war. I guess I know you mentioned earlier about the 5-song EP. I guess after that, I guess what you gonna do afterwards? Gonna try to recruit some people. Maybe go try to do any shows.
Uh, I'm kind of getting too old for the show thing. I'm almost 50 years old. So I'm kind of just doing this to put music out there. At, currently, no. I don't have any plans to do any shows or do any in the future. However, if it, like I said before, if it becomes something that is catching attention and that needs to start being looked into, then I'll start bringing in other people. But as it stands right now, I prefer to be the sole writer on everything. The whole reason I did this was to have control over everything that was being put together. Nobody telling me, no, you shouldn't do that. No, you can't do that, which is basically, no, I can't do that. So I just wanted to do it once for myself. And this is all just for fun for me. I only do it on the weekends. So I'm not planning on trying to be the next big thing or anything.
Yeah. Actually, speaking of which, a while back you actually gave me, I guess, one of your singles, "I Shit on Your Grave," and
Yeah.
it was actually on my Grip show, which I temporarily put on hold, but I plan to bring it back at some point there too. But I guess you want to tell the audience anything about that song because you made it sound like it was meant to be a love song.
Yeah. Well, just because of some of the lyrics that are in there, is where the love song thing came from. It's actually based on um, a few different scenarios that I was going through in my life. Um, so it all just kind of came out there. But one of the lyrics in particular is "Your bullshit, your lies for all the time you let them up inside your thighs." That pretty much sums it up right there. I am putting that back out. The reason I pulled it was because I was having a lot of audio issues with the bass whenever putting it on social media or YouTube. So I've picked it apart, changed a few things of the way I recorded it, and I'll be putting that out when I put the others out.
In other words, a remix or a remaster, if we want to say when it comes out on the 5-song EP.
Remix and remaster, yeah.
All right, sounds good. So I think when we were talking back on Messenger right there, I think when we had our first interview the first time around, I think you said you had some sort of back surgery at one point, and was there something to State of War you wanted to fill in the audience that?
No, my son had back surgery. My son actually, he was 15 at the time. He had to have his spine shaven and replaced with titanium rods. I had to have surgery to have a mass removed, which I'm now recovering from. And then Larry had some issues as well involving surgery, but I won't get into that.
Yeah, that's fine. Actually, was there maybe some part of State of War's story you wanted to quote unquote alter? I guess I wasn't sure because, like I said, we were talking right there. It sounded like you weren't too thrilled with like some stuff you had shared the first time.
Not alter, just not revisit. Just move forward, ignore the past, start telling new stories.
All right, fair enough. So And I guess I have to keep going back to my script right here. So, so we talked about the plans right there. I guess what are some of your hobbies these days? Because is it mainly just the music on the weekends, or you try to keep yourself busy with some other stuff?
I have a lot of hobbies. I build computers. I build home studios. Um, I draw. Well, I do digital artwork now. I don't necessarily draw much anymore. Um, I'm a big vinyl collector, big music collector. Um, but everything music related is pretty much it.
I
I
guess
mean,
what's the
I built computers so I could build a studio. You know,
hmm. I was going to ask about the vinyl one. I guess is there one that's a kind of a prized possession, or is they all kind of like the standard sort of vinyls you have?
I have a rare. I believe it was a club only issue back from 1987, 88, where they remastered or re-released the original pressing of Kill 'Em All before the two songs got butchered or got chopped. If you know the story, Kill 'Em All was originally released with Blitzkrieg and Am I Evil on it. Now, you can't find this on the internet anymore for some reason. That fact has been buried. But in 1988, Elektra did a very rare reissue, and I have an original pressing of that. Some other ones are I have all the original pressings of Eazy-E. I have NWA's original pressing for Boys in the Hood. Um, Stuff like that. The Behemoth box sets that came out that are going up in price like there's no tomorrow. Um, I have a lot of first pressings. Van Halen 1, I have a first pressing of. Uh, Black Sabbath Volume 4. Um, Purple Rain, 1999. Oh, I have a lot of first pressings.
You know, I always get a little confused when I hear the purple one because I always keep thinking back to Jimi Hendrix, Purple Haze.
Yeah.
But who was it that did Purple Rain? That wasn't Pretenders, was it?
No, that was Prince.
Prince. It was Prince. Okay. So, man, it's some interesting times. So yeah, it's definitely cool. Like what people were able to do then. But you know, when you said songs were butchered on the Kill 'Em All, I was thinking like, did they butcher the ones that had Dave Mustaine on them? Which was it was four songs. I think it was Metal Militia, Hit the Lights,
Four
Jump in the Fire.
Horsemen.
Was it? Oh yeah,
Yeah, Four Horsemen ended up becoming a Mechanics.
yeah, that whole deal. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
back at X two. But I think it was Phantom Lord that he was also on.
Yeah. Yeah, if you look at the liner notes, his name is on pretty much all of them. Kill 'Em All and Ride the Lightning.
I was a little surprised about Ride the Lightning. I thought they would have tried to write it off at some point. I guess there was some credit. So
Yeah.
hopefully they've at least buried the hatchet. I don't know. They always keep making it like there's some sort of drama that goes on there too. Because
Yeah, I quit paying attention to all that crap. You know, who cares now? They both proved themselves. They both excelled at what they were trying to do. Dave Mustaine sure as hell did what he set out to do. So that's old news. Let them, let things go on.
I would say I think Dave kept the original. How to say it, his original chords and like everything else he's done that was the sound of Megadeth. It seems like Metallica kind of moved away from like the thrashy or should we say maybe the slow down sort of thrash in this case because I think they still consider him.
I completely agree with you for one. Megadeth has kept just like Slayer. They never changed. They never tried to go into a style that wasn't them. I don't know how true this is, but I've heard rumors that Lars is the reason behind the change. I mean, you got to look at it from a garage band standpoint. You know, you come out, you finally get signed, you get Kill 'Em All. It does well. You get a follow up, Ride the Lightning, and then you finally get a little bit of money behind you. You get a little bit more support behind you, and you have Master of Puppets, which I don't care what you say, that's still one of the best albums in history. And then you had, And Justice for All, you could definitely tell Cliff was missing. They tried to cover it with a lot of the classical influence like they kept with Cliff. But then you saw that go right out the window with the Black Album, which is what made them a commercial success. So if you're a record label head and hey, they're doing this kind of crap and they're making this much money, imagine if we push them to radio mainstream. And that's what we got with Load. And the rumor I've heard behind it is it was Lars's decision. I don't know how true that is, though.
I said debatable with that, but
Yeah.
it's almost like there's always something with Lars that we have to blame in this case. It's almost like, oh, he got rid of the rights symbol right there, too. It's like, oh, man, he sucks. That's the deal.
Yeah, I don't know if you see my personal Facebook, but I put on there the day that Ozzy died. I said, why, Lord? Why? Why couldn't it have been Lars?
It's like, oh, you dick. So, I mean, he is up there in years, but man, you gotta give him credit. I mean, when you've been in a band 40 years, it's either like, you know, you did something right, or it's just hard to get rid of you. That's what we'll do.
Yeah, and as the story goes, it's a little bit of both, from what I hear. But I'm still salty about the whole Napster thing. I mean, he's never going to live that down.
I mean, it's one of those things like, Lars was right, damn it.
No, he was right, but what he did to Napster was, it sucks. I knew one of the guys that was involved with that, and well, we know the history from there. Without that, we wouldn't have iTunes, right? Or Spotify.
Or Deezer, or any of those other
Or any of
streaming
the other
platforms.
many, yeah.
We have a number of streaming platforms these days. So tragically, even though the whole pirating thing I kind of get to, because I knew a friend of mine who was guilty of that as well. He was using the LimeWire and the Demonoid to also get his anime and the anime and also the music there too. So it'd be like his whole iTunes was just filled with like all these artists. And at first I was like, how the hell did you afford all those guys? So obviously it's like $9.99 an album, or depending on which ones you're going for. So and it was like, oh no, I just pirated. Be like, you dick. So
yeah. Well, originally, you got to think back then, MP3 what? Nobody knew what the hell that was, which, well, there's peer-to-peer sharing that came later. But being able to download a song for, what was it back then? Maybe 50, 70 upwards megabytes. You're on a dial-up modem that takes you 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and now you can do it within a second. But the big thing about, like, when it first, I beta tested it, and when it first started out, there were some songs that you actually had to get rare files for to put together. It's just, I understand why they wanted to take it down, but the advancements that it made in technology should have been paid more attention to at the time, rather than trying to censor it.
It's almost like we should have saw this coming, or that sort of, it was written on the wall if we wanted to go that sort of direction.
And Jimmy Iovine saw it and ran with it.
I guess also Prince probably saw something on the wall, or
yeah. Well, no, Prince definitely spoke out about it, but Jimmy Iovine's the one who, iTunes, Apple Music.
Then afterwards, a domino effect just kept coming around there too. So yeah, I guess I think recently there was an article that did talk about the CEO of Spotify. Now apparently he's now using his money to build this whole, I want to say COD machine, like Call of Duty war machine or something like that, or something with drones. I don't know, but I guess were you one of those people who tried to boycott Spotify? Or you just kind of like, eh.
I still buy albums. I don't use Spotify. I don't stream anything. I still pay for the music. The most I do is buy an album on iTunes, because you got to support the artist, man.
That's for sure. So, actually, did you mention this in the last interview? Like where you get your CDs from? Is it a local store somewhere in downtown Vegas?
Yeah. Well, not CDs, but records. A place here called Zia Records. They're based out of Arizona. They opened a few stores here, and they're awesome. I find a lot of stuff there.
That's cool.
A lot of rarities.
And actually, I interviewed two other people out of the Vegas region. The first one was Christoph.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, he does it high, but it was funny because last time we did an interview, you guys were sitting in a red room and he was sitting in a blue room. So now we can now complete the whites. Now we have red, white, and blue. So
Yep.
cool, dude. So
Well,
yeah,
Christoph's awesome. I love the guy.
yeah. Didn't really seem to elaborate too much on you though. So I mean, I was
What's
trying
that?
at least. It was mainly a joke, but it was like I brought you up during the interview, and I was
Uh-huh.
like, "Oh, you guys real close friends," and he was like, "Yeah, acquaintances." So I was
To a
like,
point,
"Good point,
but
yeah."
nah, there's more to it than that.
Not the best of buddies, but we get along just fine. So
Yeah, we don't hang out on weekends, but as far as music goes, yeah, we're close.
you go down and get him a beer. So yeah. Really
No,
start-
neither of us drink.
Oh yeah, that's right. Oh yeah, that's right. I'm sorry. So sorry, Christoph. I forgot that's right. He couldn't drink anymore. So all right. I should give him a Coca-Cola in that case. You can't go wrong with that. So all right.
What's that? I didn't hear that last part.
I was just saying like we'll buy him a Coca-Cola in that case. So
No, coffee. With
Coffee.
Christoph's definitely coffee. Yeah,
here's his coffee, yeah. Okay.
nonstop.
All right. So I guess you didn't really get into the sports side of things. I guess what you see with football, baseball, and that sort of stuff.
Not at all. I've never been a sports guy.
No.
Nah, never paid attention to it. I was always into the arts.
That's fair enough. But I was going to say about the Raiders who had recently moved to Vegas a couple years back. So I guess what you make when they start building the whole stadium? I don't know how long it took. Was it like felt like a couple of years actually? So something like that.
It didn't seem like it took that long. I mean, because one minute you see the shell of it, the next thing it's done. I didn't really pay much attention to it. I'm from Vegas from before it was what it is today. It was 90% desert compared to what it is now. So to see all this stuff goes up, it kind of pisses me off because it's increased the population to a point that it's really changed the way the city used to operate, and it sucks.
Yeah, that's always the downside, especially you build a stadium and it's meant to bring in all this revenue, that sort of stuff. But at the same time, you get a lot of people who want to move in afterwards, and then afterwards, just try to go for that coffee you mentioned earlier. It's like now an hour ride just to go to it. So,
It's ridiculous, and I'm not going to comment on the politics of it, but it just it ruined the city. It really did.
it wasn't the traffic earlier; it was the mob life. What we were talking about last time. With in this case, we call it the casino effect because of what was going
Yeah.
on in the casinos, that stuff. So
Exactly.
that's the way. But the other friend of mine is Graham Watson. I guess you heard about him?
I don't know. Does he play with anybody out here?
He's mainly been writing solo. I've actually collaborated with him on a song. His little project that he has together, even though he's been part of numerous. The one that came to mind was the Scapegoat's Faith.
No, I've never heard of him.
Super chill guy. So yeah, and he definitely had some interesting stories. So his interviews
Oh.
on my Spotify and YouTube channels. So make sure to check it out. So
Yeah,
you learn more
I'll
about him.
definitely check it out.
So, yeah. So not much into the sports side, so I was hoping we'd try to get into that more. But actually, there was a little bit of controversy with one of the players from the Raiders, and apparently the whole thing they kind of kicked him out of the group or out of the team was he kissed the guy on the forehead. So
What?
it was so weird because it's like I can understand maybe just being hyped up in the moment there too, because I should believe it or not, this actually happened during one of our football games because I think we had scored a touchdown against a real tough opponent, and our players was like, that whole deal. So I
You're
can
talking
understand.
about a sport where people pat each other on the ass. I mean, how is a kiss on the forehead offensive?
Well, that's just what the media is saying. I think there's maybe a little bit more to it. I want to say something with showers, but I'm not going to go too far into that because that's a big,
Yeah,
not too far.
I don't pay attention to any of that crap. I barely watch the news. I just try to remove any distraction and just work on my stuff and my job.
That's good thinking. So, I guess go ahead, talk about the computer you got. So, I guess you said you built that one too. So, I guess what sort of stuff did you use to bring that whole thing together?
Well, usually I build them all. This one I actually bought pre-made because I was in a bad spot and needed one ASAP. But I did change it out. So right now I have an Asus ROG Strix with a, RTX 4070 Duo Super, which I believe they changed the name of. It has an Asus Prime motherboard. I changed out the RAM to Corsair. I changed out the SSDs to Samsung 990 Pros. Got rid of any mechanical drives that are involved, so that way everything's just straight to the board. No problems with plugins or anything like that. Sound card, I'm about to install a Sound Blaster. Don't even remember the name of it. But one of the newer Sound Blaster models I'm about to put in. I think that's pretty much it. Built-in Wi-Fi adapter, Intel i7 14, was it the 1470 KF?
Like,
So
damn,
14th
son.
generation.
Damn, son, you faking and shit. So, yeah. Actually, there's a friend of mine I interviewed out of the Buffalo, New York region. His name's Greg. His music project is called Stab by Prongs, which I'll give a shout out right here. But he works in IT, and he does a little bit of computer building as well. I don't think as far as like maybe what you're doing, that sort of stuff, but
Yeah.
he at least built it. He at least knows about Apple and maybe some Windows, that sort of stuff. So shout out to Greg. Keep doing what you're doing, buddy. So
Yeah, no, the guy that I told you about that was involved with the Napster stuff, he was a good friend of mine from childhood, and he actually taught me the basics of building a computer and explained it in a way that I could actually understand, to where it was just like putting together Legos. And just kind of ran from there. I've always kept up on it.
I guess outside of Napster, I guess how's he been recently? Because that's how like the whole thing with Lars, and then I guess whatever legal or whatever happened afterwards. I guess has he been doing okay?
Yeah, he's been doing all right. I'm not going to
All right.
comment on his life, but yeah, he's been doing all right.
All right, fair enough. But I guess outside computer gear, I guess so. What other gear do you got? You got any new stuff you got for any of your new recordings?
Yeah, I switched out my Schecter bass for an Ibanez BTB baritone 5-string. I just needed something that had more tone to it, and that fit the bill. I brought in a Complete Control 61 keyboard MIDI controller and an Arteria Mark III Pro. Another Ibanez Ironbird 7-string. I have a Solar 7-string, but it has the Evertune bridge on it, and I hate that fucking thing. So I went with a traditional Floyd 7-string, just so I could alter the tuning a little easier. As far as recording goes, nothing has changed except plugin wise. I'm still using the Paul Reed Smith CE Custom 24 for all the tracking. Bass is, of course, the BTB, and drums is Superior Drummer.
Spirit Drummer 3, or is it a
3? Yeah.
okay? I wasn't sure if they bumped up the 4 yet, but I've been using Superior Drummer 3 for my drum covers. So
Oh, I love it. It's great. You can program every single beat. I don't like using templates. I don't like using somebody else's crap. It's cool to sit there and make up your own beat, note for note. And for vocals, I just use a Beta 50, Beta 58. That's it. I don't need a Neumann or any of that crap. That thing does the job well.
yeah, and I guess for the drums, mine's kind of a little bit of a Frankenstein set. I guess. Do you know what sort of drums are programmed into Superior Drummer? Like, is it Yamaha, for instance, or is it like Ludwig?
This one's a Tama. Well, it's kind of a Franken kit. I have a Pearl snare. On one kit, I'm using a Tama. On one, I'm using I believe a Ludwig. And of course, China. I'm a big China guy.
Made in China. So,
Oh yeah.
and actually, mine's set up like a Yamaha. So I think a couple of the snares, or not snares, a couple of the toms are. I know the bass drum is, which I kind of messed around with. I kind of got to a point where it's almost like a machine gun sort of sound. I'm going to probably mess around with that for next year's drum covers. I forget what the floor tom is, though. I want to say maybe it was a Ludwig, and I kind of roll with two crashes and then two Chinas.
Yeah.
So those
Yeah.
guys stand out good.
If you have the Death and Darkness expansion, I'm using the aggro setting on that.
I was like, don't suppose that's actually a free upload, or how much you have to pay for it.
It's one of their cheaper expansions. You can usually catch it on sale. I think it was like $30.
I'd do it at some point, but actually, I'm getting ready to quote unquote get into the studio for some new Demiurge material. So me and a friend of mine out of Texas are putting together some new material, and a friend of ours out of Australia is going to do the honor of producing it for us. So,
Oh, I know you and I had talked about possibly doing a Deicide cover thing, which I'm still interested in. It's just a matter of time.
you know, it's
being
funny
able to find
because
it.
it's funny because I've actually kind of got into a little bit of a rush of it because next year I'll go ahead and spoil this much. I'm actually going to do Scars of the Crucifix for my drum
Nice.
covers. So, and
Very nice.
you know what? I don't know what it is. I want to say maybe it was the album that actually did get me into Deicide, more so the music wise. It was either that or Stench, one of those two. So,
Stench is good. Once Upon the Cross is what got me in, which I think I mentioned before. But I mean, the first album I had heard was really good. Legion was pretty good, but Once Upon the Cross was the next level up for them. And then I kind of gave them a break for a little while, except for Serpents of the Light, and then Stench of Redemption came out. And then, of course, their latest one, which is awesome.
Banished by Sin. So,
Yeah.
I have to probably listen to it, but I think what's always funny is like their songs usually are not very long. It seemed like they kind of got a little bit longer once Jack Owen and Rolf Santola came in.
Yeah.
They did Stench till Death Do Us Part and those albums afterwards. So
Yeah, they had a more adult feeling to them, which I liked.
they matured. So
Yeah.
in a funny way. So actually, believe it or not, I would say Legion was definitely their more technical one because I was listening to a couple songs last night. It's like, damn, I think I'm really gonna have my money's worth if I'm gonna try to cover any of those songs.
Especially for the time. It was really technical for that time. I mean, not a lot of people were doing that kind of stuff yet.
Not too crazy on the drums. They would think they were more progressive in that case. So,
Yeah.
So, but for some reason, then when you hear Once Upon the Cross, it sounds, how to explain it? It felt more in line. It wasn't like as technical, but it definitely had some fast parts to it, some blast beating, but it felt more doable in my case for drums.
The songs had more rhythm. They were, of course, a little bit more commercialized on that album. Not as much experimentation as Legion, but it was just a fun ride.
I guess to add more to the commercialization, they decided to make the most controversial album cover.
Album cover, yes.
Which then was
Yes.
covered up with a white tarp with just red dots on it.
Yeah.
So
Well, you open the album, you see what it was. Yeah. On
It
the
would be
insert,
them.
You see what it really is.
Yep, it would be Deicide. So I guess, would you say you had a favorite album? Or I guess you still stick with Once Upon the Cross from as like your all-time favorite from Deicide?
For nostalgia, yeah, I'd have to say Once Upon the Cross and the first one. Not Amon Feasting the Beast, but Deicide.
It seemed like they kind of hit a little bit of a rut after Serpents of the Light. They still came out with like 2 albums per se. It was like Incinerate 'Em and then In Torment and Hell, which I guess
Yeah.
didn't nearly do as well. And then they had to kind of rebound with Scars.
Yeah, from what I had heard, from what I read in an interview, was that Glenn and Steve had pretty much given up on the Hoffmans at that point, so they weren't even trying. Um, and then of course you have the albums where Owen came in, and yeah, big difference. Which I think it was still the Hoffman on Scars, but after that, I think that was their last album with them.
And you'd be right. So, and then it was 2006, like 2 years later, you get Owen and Santola, who were pretty
Yeah.
much new and improved, more polished, more experienced guys. So yeah, but I always thought it was weird about Glenn's sort of story where, and I think it also ties in with sacrificial suicide, which was at 33 he wanted to commit suicide to kind of near that of Jesus, but I think he passed that in the early 2000s. I don't know how old he's now,
I had
but
never heard that.
I'd say,
that that wouldn't surprise me, but no, I had never heard that one.
I mean, how would you try to collaborate with someone who's actually thinking in those terms? You'd be like, this guy's crazy. I mean, we're having fun just making the music and all, but it's like, why would you think that? We're kicking some ass here, man. So,
Yeah, well, it goes back to what I was saying before about the whole, Satanism thing being kind of a gimmick back then. And I mean, of course, your name's Deicide, you're going to keep it. You're not going to pull a Metallica and start writing blues songs, you know.
no, actually, I forget what podcast he was on, but I know he kind of, Glenn, he had ripped on like the whole music scene with metal and maybe even music in general, like these days. A whole bunch of wannabe kings or something like that. So, technically, he's not wrong. He's not wrong, but it's almost like, geez, how are we supposed to match up to that or match up to what our predecessors did in the 90s and early 2000s?
Yeah, you're supposed to grow. I completely agree with him on that point. Um, People are copying the past instead of trying to improve. This is one thing I've always told people is that one of the things you have to do to make it in music is to not follow the trend. You have to be the trend. You know, you can name a band like Korn, and there's a genre that started because of it. Meshuggah started an entire genre. Metallica started an entire genre. They set the trend. They didn't follow the trend. And that's what a lot of people don't get.
I think a lot of people think Meshuggah was more of the progenitors of deathcore and that sort of phase, with the whole
Mm.
breakdowns and everything. So yeah,
Gent, yeah, but if you listen to their early albums, they were straight Metallica wannabes. Their very first albums, it sounded like we're going to go in the studio and try to make Master of Puppets. But then, which one was it? Contradictions, Collapse, and None is where they started finally showing signs of their own individuality. You started hearing the off-time rhythms and stuff like that.
I think it was, to me, it felt more like Nothing was maybe the.
Maybe that's the one I'm thinking of. Yeah, I haven't looked back on them in a while.
Yeah. Actually, I did see them live when they came to Pittsburgh, but man, that was a hell of a light show.
Oh
Good
yeah,
band.
they're amazing live.
They are, but those lights are distracting. At least in my case, I can't speak for everybody, but they got Bleed. I got Bleed. So yes, I'm happy about that. So,
You can play it?
oh no, I videotaped it. I should say.
Oh! I thought you were saying you could finally play it. I'm like, really?
No, I wish, but I think what's funny about Bleed is like it's mostly in the feet, and it's very hard to explain because he changes the pattern up because of what the guitars are doing. They're like it's kind of like little strums that's like
It's like his brain is split in two, and one side is controlling, the top end, and one side is controlling the rhythms with the feet. It's like he was able to somehow split his brain in two to do it because it's two completely different thought patterns.
Thomas Hawk.
Yep.
He is not of this world. So
He, again, set the trend.
that's for sure. So it's totally worth it too. It actually, they were touring. They were the headliner, but they were with Carcass and Cannibal
Ooh.
Corpse.
Nice.
So I love Cannibal Corpse. Man, that was awesome.
How was Carcass?
You know what? I don't know how many of them are the original members. They're still good. obviously, I think the lead singer, I think he still had it, but not as strong as it used to be.
He's
So,
getting
yeah.
older, and I think the only one that's different is the drummer
Okay.
because he
Well,
had to quit because he had a brain aneurysm or something when they did their first run, and they didn't want to continue without him.
boy, that's a lot to take in. So,
Yeah,
but yeah, they were good. They only did 6 songs, and they covered the main one with Corporal Jigsaw Quandary, but they got Buried Dreams. I was happy about that, and then No Love Lost. Those two are my favorites.
nice.
So, Cannibal is now actually being a headliner. I think they got Municipal Waste and a couple others, but when they were with Meshuggah and Carcass, they were the middle act. So, man, you gotta give it to Corpse Grinder. The guy still keeps the voice after all these years.
Yeah, and the guy's a big kid too, which is cool. I don't know if you've seen the videos of him going Lego shopping at Target. um, now, Cannibal was a really, really big influence for me, but I grew up on the Barnes years, so it was really hard for me to get into Corpse Grinder at first. But now that they've got Eric Rutan, the albums, 2 albums they've done with him are phenomenal. You can definitely hear a lot of the influence from, say, Morbid Angel's Domination, which he played a lot on. You can hear a lot of that in their new albums with him as well.
I go with Eric Rutan. The guy still goes strong after all these years too.
He's awesome.
Yeah, and I think what's funny about some of the set list I'm thinking about when Campbell was playing. Actually, 2 of the songs, Barnes, when he's with 6 Feet Under, because I saw him when he was touring with Nile. The 2 songs they always seem to play is Hammer Smash Face and then Stripped, Raped, and Strangled.
Strangled, yeah. The 2
So,
noteworthy singles that they put out.
and you tend to wonder how it works for the legal wise, to be honest, there too, because if they got Barnes is playing that at every venue of every show and all that stuff there too. I'm like, how they working that out with Cannibal? Because it seems like they're still not on good terms. So it's not like what we were talking about earlier with Mustang and Metallica kind of burying the hatchet. So it sounds like it's just bad blood.
I'm not really sure how that would work out. I would think he would have to ask for permission in order to do that. But I mean, he also has writing credit on that, so that kind of goes with it too. But yeah, that's all legal.
Something, yeah. I would say I have been actually covering 6 Feet Under's Haunted album, which I would say is pretty fun. So
Yeah, I've never really listened to 6 Feet. I mean, I've heard bits and pieces from him, but it's just not the same. Once you hear the bleeding, you can't really picture him doing something else. It was hard to picture them doing something else without him. But yeah,
still going strong.
Work.
So yeah. All right. So Jason, we have briefed through a good number of questions right here, but I guess I've tried to pick up something else here too. But I guess in the meantime, here I'll ask this one. I guess what sort of advice would you give to other musicians out there? I guess I know last time when we were talking and the first time we've done this, I think we had some pretty funny stories you and Larry and maybe some other bandmates had done with. I think Larry was like through the stage and his drum set fell through the stage, that sort of stuff. But I guess from your experience, what sort of advice would you give to musicians?
First off, but meant first of all, don't give into the ego trap. I think I said that the last time too. That's the biggest thing that I could possibly say. Just because you're playing a club doesn't mean you're, David Lee Roth. Don't act like a dick. That's all you seem like to other people is a dick. Don't fall for the woman trap. If you're in it for the music, you're in it for the music, not for everything that comes with it. And if you're in it for the music, the stuff that comes with it doesn't mean anything to you at all. So if you're doing it, make sure you're doing it because it's what you love. I've known a lot of guys who do it just for the hope of making money from it. And those guys never last. They're always the first to dip out once they realize that they're way in over their head. So if you're just in it to be a rock star and make money, you're in the wrong place. this is not the gig for you. It takes dedication, time, money. Um, it takes everything just to even get your foot in the door. So you don't want to be the dick. You don't want to be the money guy. You have to be the music lover. You have to be the one who's doing it because you love it.
Absolutely. You also have to realize you have to sell merch. And do you use Bandcamp as well, or are you just more just use a DistroKid to?
It's DistroKid for right now. I'm still getting everything set up. If there's a demand, yeah, there's going to be merch. If there's a demand, yeah, there'll be physical copies. Um, but when you don't have a budget, you kind of have to bust your butt, advertise, which is why I pulled the single because I wasn't happy with it. Um, and then just kind of move it up from there. Without demand, there's no supply. So once things are in demand, yeah, I'll start looking into that. Once a following starts building and people start saying, "Hey, where's T-shirts? Where's the CDs at? You gonna make a vinyl?" That's when we gotta start considering it. And then if streams go up and you start making a little bit of money from it, then yes, definitely.
All right, sounds good. You know, do you want to show up the studio real quick? I don't know if you're able to move the camera around if you want to show the audience any posters.
Oh, it's a little messy in here because I've been working nonstop. But here's the main station of where I work at. You have the Yamaha, the Atom Audio 39-inch LG OLED, which is awesome. I have a backup 27-inch that I use for tracking, just keeping an eye on the levels, but I don't have it hooked up right now. Here it's just a lot of memorabilia crap. You know, Carnage, Venom. There's a Gojira picture disc, Mars to Sirius, I believe. Really, really cool. Sounds great. Nothing too fancy.
I'll say that's one of those screens that have the like, little curve in it, doesn't it? The computer over there.
Yep.
It's so weird, but man, that is awesome too. So yeah, it's because you're just so used to seeing like the rectangle, for instance. You've never seen like the screen curve like that, unless you're like a trader or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it came up on a really good deal, and I didn't really care if it was curved or not. I just needed something that was going to work, and I prefer the bigger size so I can fit more on one screen instead of having to have two monitors. But yeah, once you get used to the curve, you don't even notice it.
I was gonna say, do you ever try doing any gaming? Something with like indie horror games or anything like that?
Oh yeah, well, just trying it out. I haven't really gamed much with it, but I've tried like Black Ops 6, Modern Warfare 3, RoboCop, just some basic stuff. Doom, the latest Doom, I forget the name of it. Stuff like that. I'm an old school FPSer.
Actually, I was thinking of what's his name? Mick Gordon? Was that the guitar player who did the soundtracks for Doom?
I don't know. I don't remember his name. I didn't pay attention to who did it. I just know it was freaking awesome. And doesn't disappoint on the new one at all.
Actually, I think it was on the radio, and for life of me, I can't remember what the song was. But his first name is Mick. I do know that much. So you're all right. It was badass there too, and I want to say maybe it was the theme song. I'm not too sure, but you're all right. It was badass to say the least.
It's sick, and it's a fun. I mean, it's Doom. You run around and kill things, and that's it. It's just entertainment. It's fun.
That way, always have the meme. Cue the Doom music.
Exactly.
Actually, I was saying like funny memes with like Ozzy Osbourne's passing, for instance. Like what you said earlier was like, why, Lord? Why could it have been Lars? Actually, no, I was thinking like it would be like the Platoon sort of scene right there too. These guys' hands outstretched like this. It'd be like, why, God, why? Why could it have been Lars? So
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of too. And then something involving Ozzy. Maybe he's coming through like the gates of hell, for instance. It's like cue the Doom music. So
yeah, and I've also seen one where Eddie Van Halen and everybody's at the gate waiting for him. That one was pretty cool.
I'll say one more because there was a meme one. It was cool too because First off, did you ever get into Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
I grew up when it came out. Yep.
They have one recently. I think it's still in development hell, to say the least, in terms of like how they're going to produce it. But there's a comic called The Last Ronin, which actually deals with Mikey, for instance.
Yeah.
And one of the pictures, it has three of his brothers who had passed, just kind of putting their arms on him, kind of like encouraging him to continue. But the meme was, it had the singers who had passed away, which was Ryan James Dio, Lemmy, and Ozzy. So the last one who's alive is Rob Halford.
Yeah.
So, I guess just to keep kind of another question here, I guess you going to go to any shows this year? Because I don't know if they got Judas Priest or anyone with a big name coming through.
Yeah, it pretty much goes back to the same thing. I don't pay attention to anything going on. I just focus on what I'm doing. At my age, I've pretty much seen who I've wanted to see, and ticket prices out here suck. Especially, thank you, Raiders. So no, not really. I mean, when Load first came out, I saw Metallica for $20. To see him now is in the hundreds. Yeah, it's not worth it.
Honestly, I have to give one of my friends credit who he lives up in Canada. He's a fellow drummer. He literally, I don't know if he was like at every venue, at every concert, but it was Metallica and Pantera. I mean, he showed up there and he was just posting it all on Facebook and everything. Even got a selfie with Zach Wild.
Oh, nice.
So shout out to Mark, by the way. So a good friend, Mark, there. So, all right. So, Jason, I've ran out of questions to talk about here too. So, I guess we could say we reached the end of this interview. So, I guess, like last time, I want to give any other shouts to anybody or say any other final words.
No shout outs this time. Just stay tuned. Keep paying attention. There's going to be a lot coming out. I'm not going to boast or advertise or brag about anything. I'm just going to let it drop and let people, think of what they want for themselves.
We're musicians, remember? We improvise.
Exactly.
So, all right. And just for the audience sake, can you list what social media and streaming platforms you're on so I can check you out?
Nothing yet. It's going to be on everything once I release everything, but I've pulled everything that's out there.
I guess what social media do you use? Do you use mainly Facebook or do you
mainly Facebook right now? And then of course YouTube. Everything else is going to come later. But right now, I just use Facebook as a test audience.
All right, but also watch out for the AI. Looks like it's kind of a big thing this day with the new current administration. I don't know if you're using any sort of AI for anything. So
not at all.
All right, good.
Not one
bit. Us there. All right. So to close out like this. So everyone, I welcome back Jason today from the band State of War. He's a writing solo right now, but he's got pretty much 5 songs in the works, including one he had released and had pulled because of the obvious reasons that we've been talking about. So
yeah,
currently he's in development. So make sure you guys keep your eyes open for any sort of posts he puts on his social media. Let's continue to support our brother out there too. So
thanks,
Jason.
Again.
No worries, mate. Thanks again for coming on here. So you do stay safe, and shout out to Christoph and Graham, by the way. So go check them out on the socials there too. Just thought maybe we get some Vegas boys together. So
definitely.
All right. So y'all stay safe, rock on, and just real quick, I did pose. Stay tuned, y'all.